I don't need sleep. Money never sleeps. Sleeping is for wimps. Hi everyone! Over the last few weeks, we've been talking about daily self-care, how to take better care of ourselves on a day-to-day basis. All too often, we have checklists for making sure that everyone and everything in our lives are okay, but we neglect to have a checklist for ourselves to make sure that we are okay. I shared with you that I recently watched a video on a YouTube channel called CarrieLeighanna, and the title of the video was How to Practice Self-Care. And in that video, she provides us a suggested checklist, if you will, for our own personal self-care. And that checklist consists of adequate sleep, quiet time, playtime, and eating well. So over the next few weeks, I want to talk about each of those categories, why they are important, and how we can begin to incorporate them into our daily lives. I am super duper excited about this lifestyle change, and I hope that you are too. So today we are going to talk about sleep. I think most of us can tell the difference between how we feel when we get enough sleep versus how we feel when we do not get enough sleep. I know for me, when I do not get enough sleep, I feel a lot more anxious and worried and tired and cranky and hungry. But when I did a little bit of research on sleep, I was fascinated to discover that while neuroscientists have made many discoveries about the benefits of sleep, there's still quite a bit of mystery surrounding exactly what happens while we are asleep. So why should we care about getting enough sleep? In today's society, the trend has been the belief that we don't really need a lot of sleep. Work all night, work some more. And I think that the trend over time has created less of a value on sleep. I recently watched a TEDx talk with neuroscientist Russell Foster, and I will link that video below. If you are interested in this topic, then I strongly suggest that you check out that video. But in that video, he gave us some insight on the benefits of sleep. One thing is brain processing, how well we're able to process information, memory conservation, our overall memory, also judgment. Sleep impacts how well we're able to make decisions and how well we're able to use our judgment. Creativity. This one stood out to me because if you consider yourself to be a creative being or someone whose work or interest relies heavily upon your creativity, it's interesting that sleep directly impacts our creativity and how well we're able to create. Some other things he mentioned, and I'm looking down on my paper, some other things that he mentioned were weight gain, moodiness, as well as from a health standpoint, sleep impacts our immune system, and the lack of sleep has also been tied to an increased likelihood of developing cancer, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. I will link another video from TEDx in the description box below that also talks about what happens while we sleep. And in that particular video, the speaker explains how the brain goes through a process of ridding itself of waste. And the only time that the brain rids itself of this waste is while we are asleep. But the interesting thing is that this waste that the brain rids itself of has been tied to or directly connected with Alzheimer's disease. So that was very interesting to me. So how can we promote sleep in our lives? I have to tell you, going to sleep, falling asleep has never been an issue to me. I am not exaggerating when I say that I could fall asleep in this chair. But I do understand that many of us do have problems falling asleep. So let's talk about ways to promote sleep, ways to help us to fall asleep when we need to fall asleep. And one of the suggestions that I have is to make it a routine. Set a bedtime so that your body gets used to going to sleep at a certain time, every night, or at least within a certain time frame every night. Another thing is a lot of people on YouTube have mentioned apps that they've used to help them fall asleep. I've never used them, but I've heard a lot of people mention them and they say that they work well. Another thing that I like to do is to burn lavender in my room around bedtime. I have read that lavender is actually a calming fragrance. Also, making sure that our rooms are dark a half hour before bedtime. I know we have a television in our room, and I know we're in our bathrooms with the lights on, brushing our teeth and going through our nighttime routine. But it is important that a half hour before you fall asleep to have the room dark. If you are married and you share your room, you maybe want to invest in a mask or something that you can cover your eyes to help you to fall asleep. Another suggestion from the TEDx video was to make your room, in addition to your room being dark, also make sure that your room is cold. Now, with all those suggestions, there are lots of videos and websites and books out there with information on how to promote rest or how to promote sleep. I think that if this is something that is important to you, that you have difficulty with, I think that it's important to do the research, find some of the suggestions, and try them and see what works. So how much sleep is enough sleep? How much sleep do we actually need? Well, according to the neuroscientists in the video that I referenced, 8 hours is a good starting point. It is a good standard. So get 8 hours of sleep, see how you feel, and from there you can determine whether you feel you need a little more sleep or a little less sleep. So what am I doing in my life to promote sleep? For me, the biggest thing that I needed to do was to understand the importance of sleep, because I was in a place where I was actually doing the opposite. I was talking myself out of sleep and deciding within my own mind that I don't need that much sleep. I don't need that much sleep. I can go to bed a little later. I can wake up earlier, and it's just not, I know now that I knew then, but the research and what I have read and seen on these videos, that of course it's not a good idea to not get sleep. So for me, I have decided to set a definite bedtime, which is between 10 and 10:30. And the biggest thing for me was to make sure that my husband knows my bedtime and that we honor my bedtime. My children go to bed between 8 and 8:30. My oldest, I think, goes to bed at 9. But my two little children, they're in bed by 8:30. So that gives me 2 hours to hang out with my husband before I go to bed. I wake up at 6, but I'm flexible that if I need to get up a little early, that I can get up at 5 o'clock. So I'm in bed at the earliest, well, not the earliest, but I'm in bed by 10, between 10 and 10:30, and I wake up between 5 and 6. But my goal is to go to bed at 10:30 and to wake up at 6, but I'm flexible to the extent of 5 a.m. So that's basically the change that I have made, to set a bedtime and a time to wake up, and to communicate that with my husband so that we can both respect that decision in my life. So that we can both respect that decision. I have shared this video with you because I am super excited about taking better care of myself. And I hope that by sharing this information, I'm encouraging you to take better care of yourself. So let me know in the comments below how you plan on getting more rest and more sleep in your life on a daily basis, or at least on a regular basis. If you have enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I invite you to subscribe for more daily self-care videos, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.